Donald Trump is absolutely losing it. The August jobs report just came out, and guess what? The numbers didn't magically bounce back. This after Trump literally fired the Bureau of Labor Statistics last month for daring to publish bad numbers. He probably thought the job market would suddenly look like a miracle on paper. But nope, the report is still painting the same gloomy picture.
Disappointing jobs data, only 54,000 private sector jobs added, and look at this, the yield on the 10-year Treasury below 4.2%. The 2-year down around 3.61%, yields down.
The Labor Department reported U.S. job openings dropped to a 10-month low of 7.18 million in July. That's below the estimate of 7.38 million.
Oh, that's gotta hurt!
The latest numbers are grim. U.S. employers added just 75,000 jobs, almost a carbon copy of July's pathetic 73,000, which already got someone fired. Economists had been betting on at least 100,000, but the hiring engine is sputtering. The private sector is now under the microscope, with ADP's report showing a meager 54,000 new positions. Job openings slammed down to a 10-month low. For the first time since the pandemic, there are more unemployed workers than there are available jobs. Unemployment claims have ticked up to 237,000. Bottom line, Wall Street and Main Street alike are holding their breath because without a Federal Reserve rate cut, this could spiral into something far uglier.
Tomorrow, we are getting a private payrolls report, which is the ADP report, the precursor to Friday's big jobs report from the government. So ADP is estimated to show that the economy added 70,000 jobs to the private sector. And the August jobs report, one day later, expected to show 75,000 jobs were added. The unemployment rate ticking up 0.1% from the previous month to 4.3%.
Another flashing yellow light when it comes to the job market, because not only has hiring really dried up, but announced layoffs remain very high. So during the month of August, almost 86,000 announced layoffs by U.S.-based employers. That is up 39% from July, also higher than last August. In fact, this is the most for any August since 2020. Of course, that was during a once-in-a-century health crisis. So where are the layoffs? Well, Challenger Gray and Christmas found that a number of different sectors have laid off more people than they did at this point last year, including finance. But look at pharmaceuticals, more than double the announced layoffs from this point last year. Retail, nonprofits, and government announced layoffs way up, although I would note that some of those government layoffs, of course, have been challenged in court. As far as why companies are laying off workers, Challenger Gray and Christmas found a number of reasons during the month of August, including restructuring, market/economic conditions, and closing. Those top three, of course, speak to industry-specific pressure and/or pressure on the overall economy. And then number 4 on that list is DOGE, the government efficiency panel that was previously led by Elon Musk, slashing government spending.
It's worth noting, this is the very first batch of data since Trump fired BLS director Erica McEnteffer, accusing her of rigging the numbers. Yes, apparently even the jobs report wasn't safe from the firing spree.
Elaine Chao was on yesterday, and I know, she was, I think she was labor secretary for 8 years under Bush too, and she was your transportation secretary as well. And she said, the commissioner doesn't really even get involved with the actual minutia of putting all these things together. And there's no way that it could have been, that she could have chosen to rig these numbers to make them look bad. And these are statistical changes based on this antiquated system, and it's just a big leap to go to rigged. And then it also, Mr. President, it makes anyone you pick is going to be, critics are going to say, hey, he's picking a guy that's going to give him or a gal that's giving him the numbers that he wants. So it undermines confidence in the system to some extent. You had, according to many people, all the rights in the world to try to replace a commissioner when hasn't gotten any better. But that is maybe a bridge too far, according to most people.
But the jobs report, yeah, still unchanged. Output barely lukewarm, even with one of Trump's loyal minions crunching the numbers. And the slowdown, hardly a blip. Stack it up against previous administrations, and suddenly it looks a whole lot more like a crisis than a hiccup.
I'm just stunned at another number in this report, and that is the downward revision to the June figure from 147,000 to just 14,000. So looking over the last 3 months, we've got 73,000 in July, 14,000 in June, and 19,000 in May. Those are incredibly weak headline numbers, and that's the total, not just private jobs. So this is a very soft report. And I guess what I'm really blown away by is that July generally is a report where the seasonals are such that you can surprise on the upside very easily, because 1 million people roughly drop out of the labor force with the school year, the school vacation. So that sets a very low seasonal bar for the data to clear, and clearly we tripped over the bar.
All right, we are just about getting these numbers shortly. We're waiting on the jobs numbers, where we're expecting 180,000 jobs created in the month of January, and the unemployment rate to tick higher to 3.8%. We are watching the revisions, of course, and we're also looking at production. You got the numbers?
Wow.
All right, let's get right to Cheryl. Go ahead, Cheryl.
This is something. 353,000 non-farm jobs. I had to seriously double check these guys.
353,000 jobs added in the first month of the year. Unemployment stays at 3.7%. What a blowout report.
Employers adding 216,000 jobs in December, up from the 175,000 that economists expected. The jobless rate remains at 3.7%.
During Biden's presidency, monthly job growth averaged over 400,000 in his first 2 years and still held above 200,000 even through 2023-2024. Sure, you can factor in the COVID rebound, but even then, his month-to-month job gains left multiple Republican administrations in the dust. So the real question is, just how many GOP presidents did Biden outpace? Once again, Gavin.
I will tell you on every measure, from the economy, inflation, borders, energy, national security, he's missing in action.
Let's talk about them in order. Let's talk
hang on.
Wait, but I want to challenge the premise. You said the economy, 13.1 million jobs he's created. More.
These are post-COVID jobs. Okay. You know that.
Well,
I mean, that's an artificial number.
No. Then let me stipulate this as an opportunity to engage civilly on this.
Okay.
Fair point. Your president, Donald Trump, lost 2.6 million jobs during his 4 years. We've created 13.1 million. Fine, you can maintain a COVID frame. How about the fact that Joe Biden's created more jobs, 6 times more jobs than the previous 3 Republican presidents combined?
Are you going to tell me that the...
Meanwhile, under Trump, even before the pandemic, monthly job growth was averaging closer to 180,000. In other words, today's numbers aren't just weak by economist standards, they're weak by Trump's own historical baseline. They look even paler stacked against Biden's record, even after accounting for the post-pandemic rebound. So despite all the firings, the theatrics, and the policy chest-thumping, the August jobs report once again delivered the same bleak verdict. A market that's sputtering, not sprinting.
Justin, new data painting an increasingly worrisome picture for the U.S. jobs market. For the first time in years, job seekers are outnumbering job openings. CNN's Vanessa Yurkevich is following this story for us. What are you seeing here, Vanessa?
Yeah, this is a JOLTS report that we get every single month, and it precedes oftentimes the jobs report that we'll get later in the week. But this JOLTS report essentially revealed that there are fewer jobs available than those that are looking for those jobs. So in the month of July, it reveals that there are 7.18 million jobs open, and there are 7.2 million people who are unemployed looking for a job, so a little less than 1 job per person. And what this really signals is that there is starting to be a softening in the labor market, which very much starts to back up what we saw in July's jobs report, which showed a weakening of hiring, just 73,000 jobs added in the month of July, which led to President Donald Trump firing the head of the Bureau of Labor Statistics, which puts out that monthly report. Fewer jobs there by 181,000. Retail and trade, also fewer job openings in that sector by 110,000. Mining and lodging, fewer jobs by 13,000. And then you can see there are pickups in construction, manufacturing, and wholesale. As I mentioned, Brianna, this report, this JOLTS report, is just before the big jobs report on Friday, which will tell us just how many jobs were added.
We have an economy that, despite what Trump's propagandists might claim, has seen prices rise, inflation spike, and job growth stall.
For the Democrats, look, prices are coming down. It's not going to happen immediately, but people are actually feeling it out there. This is the thing they should have been paying attention to A year ago, when the American people were saying, inflation is really high, it's coming down with Donald Trump. We see the numbers all over the place.
All right, there's more breaking news coming into the Situation Room right now. Walmart warning this morning it's raising some prices because of tariffs.
Under the policies of Donald Trump and House Republicans, prices have gone up, up, and up. The latest inflation report shows that core CPI rose by the highest it's been since the last 6 months. Energy prices have gone up. Electricity is skyrocketing in a number of areas, more than doubling the pace of inflation in some of these areas. We know food prices have gone up. For example, 1 pound of beef has gone up 12.8% in the last 6 months. 1 pound of chicken breast has gone up nearly 6% in the last 6 months. And if you want to finance a new car with a car loan, it's gone up about $400 in the last 6 or 7 months. And what is Donald Trump and House Republicans doing about it? Nothing. In fact, House Republicans today on the Judiciary Committee are holding a hearing on European laws in Europe that govern what Europeans can say about speech. That's what they're talking about, instead of addressing inflation or the Epstein files. And then Trump's tariffs are going to make these costs even worse. We're asking House Republicans and Donald Trump to focus on what the American people want, which is to bring down costs.
I mean, even if Trump's cheerleaders at Fox can't spin it into a win, well, that should be your clearest signal yet that it's bad.